Oh, well, well, well. Hey guys, calling back with this week's collections video, and I have several things to show you. Some records, some Halloween related items, and some books. And first off, I'm going to get right to the records. Here we have The Roots of Rock and Roll. It's a gatefold. It's kind of a compilation record of a bunch of different, the Ravens, the Robins, Little Esther, Johnny Otis, Nappy Brown, Big Maybelle, Hal Cornbread Singer, Paul Hucklebuck Williams, and others, the Savoy Sessions. That ought to be an interesting listen. And next, if any of you have watched my videos over the years, I really like I have a fascination with oddball type records, like sound effects, that sort of stuff. And here's one that is the Songs and Sounds of the Orient. Now, not only does this contain music, I think it has some ambient sounds of like restaurants and kabuki type stuff and things like that. Here we have Jerry and the Pacemakers, Ferry Cross the Mersey musical. It's a soundtrack. Jerry and the Pacemakers. I don't know if I've ever heard these guys. I'll have to listen to this. This is another one of those. I just thought it looked interesting because they're playing in the same place where the Beatles started out. That bar. I forget what it's called. The London Fog, or I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, but there it is, and it was owned by somebody named Proudfoot. Here we have Bobby McFerrin, Spontaneous Inventions. Now this is another one. I'm not sure if I might already have this, because he didn't really release that many albums that I know of. But I have most of them, and I can't really recall if I have this one or not. I might have it. I think I might have it on a cassette, actually. And I like his style. He just uses his voice pretty much for the entire record without any instruments in most of his stuff. But there is some, like Don't Worry, Be Happy and things like that, where I can't recall if there's music instruments in that or not, but he does a lot. He has an amazing vocal range, or whatever you want to call it. And here we have Whatever Julie Wants, another Julie London album. Now, I'm not really sure if I like this cover. I mean, she looks sort of mean and stuck up in this photo. Especially with the title, Whatever Julie Wants. She's posing with the mink coat, diamonds, a princess crown, and some cash laying around on the bed, some champagne there. Yeah, I just don't really like this cover. I mean, it just looks like a stuck-up rich woman. But most of her other photos I like. I just don't like this picture, but the music's probably good on that. And next, we have Lesley Gore Anthology. It's basically her greatest hits. If you remember these songs, It's My Party, Judy's Turn to Cry, She's a Fool, You Don't Own Me, maybe I Know. Another gatefold. There we go. Lesley Gore. Now, there's some of these records I've never heard of, and you know, I probably somewhere down the line will give them away or sell them or something, except for the Julie London and some of the others. Because I don't like letting the records pile up anymore. I let other stuff pile up everywhere. Anyway, and next we're going to get to the Halloween stuff. I know it's only September, but the Halloween store is already open. Spirit Halloween, the Walmarts and Targets and all that, they already have their Halloween stuff out. Walgreens. Now at Target, they have some really cool stuff there this year. And this year they have some Universal Monsters stuff. And here we have the Mummy. And the Universal Monsters are some of my favorite old horror movies. I like the old horror movies better than I do any of the newer stuff, as you can tell by the posters and things that are in here. But these are really cool. They're animated, and this one lights up even. And they have, you can hear sounds or from the soundtrack from the movie, basically, in these.
Never saw a mummy like that. Neither, I imagine, has anyone else. Looks as though he died in some sensationally unpleasant manner. The contorted muscles show that he struggled in the bandages. Buried alive.
Buried alive. And next we have Frankenstein here. Whoop. And his little thingy goes up and down like it's a you're gonna get him electrocuted, started, or whatever. Oh, oops. Here we go.
Don't you forget, I gave you life. I gave you life. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just some stitches.
That's some of that guy, Frankenstein. One of my favorites, especially like Igor. He's like, "Yes, my master." And he's all hunchbacked all over and all that. Oh, and one more thing. Here's a door knocker of Frankenstein from the Monsterville. I have a metal door, so I don't know if I'm going to... I'll probably end up just hanging this on the wall somewhere. But it's supposed to be a door thing. When you walk up to it, he greets you at the door. Trick or treat. There you go, that's kind of neat, I guess. And a darn bug just went in my drink here, I think. Well, bottoms up, bug. Anyway, today was the, we have a yearly antique show here, and I went to that today, and today was the last day. And they were having, since it was the last day and it was the last couple hours they're going to be open, they were having a 30% off everything sale. And I could have just went nuts because they had all kinds of cool stuff. But I just picked up a few comic books and books from one dealer. And I also got a pocket watch, but I'll show that in some other video. But I picked up a bunch of, you know, my fascination with the Lone Ranger and Tonto. I have some coloring books, some different toys, and things like that from the old reel-to-reel of the show, reel-to-reel soundtracks of stories that were on the radio, old radio shows of the Lone Ranger, and with I got some comic books and books of the Lone Ranger from this one booth, and an elderly lady who was very nice to me. I kind of walked around the place a little bit, and a couple of times I got a strange feeling. I don't know where this group of people were from, but they kind of looked at me strange when I was walking. Like, what are you? You don't look like somebody who likes antiques. I'm wearing my Tom Waits shirt and whatnot and whatever. But anyway, I had a good time there. There was so much stuff. I could have spent all kinds of money, but I just ended up getting these books and stuff. With that, I got a bunch of comics. And these are Tonto comic books. And I did not even realize that Tonto had his own line of comics back in the 50s. And there's Tonto there. These aren't even in the right type of comic sleeves, so I'm going to have to get some better bags and boards for these. There's Tonto there. I'll just kind of show the covers of these. And while I'm showing these, have any of you seen that newer movie of the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp in it? I don't know why that movie did so badly in the theaters, and it got so much flack from the critics and stuff. I mean, I liked the movie, and I thought Johnny Depp did a pretty good job of playing Tonto. He kind of had, the Jack Sparrowish Tonto. He claims to be some part native, but I'm not really sure about that. But anyway, the only thing that I think they messed up on was the who they cast as the Lone Ranger. And both of the movies, the one that came out, I think it was the 80s, there was a Lone Ranger movie, and then this more recent Lone Ranger. They keep picking these sort of guys, good-looking guys with the square jaw and whatnot, and I can see where that is sort of a stereotypical Lone Ranger, but they're too... to me, they're too clean, nice boys. They should have picked somebody a little greasier, or maybe not close, not like Clint Eastwood in the spaghetti westerns, but somebody a little older and just a better person for the part. People, here's a question: who would you pick to play the Lone Ranger if they ever made a sequel to this one? They could have Johnny Depp again as Tonto, but who would you pick to play the Lone Ranger? That's a good question there, because I don't really know who I would pick either. That would take some thought. Now, inside of each one of these comic books at the beginning, these aren't in real great shape, but they're all there. They had the little history of, like, this one has Sitting Bull's drawing lessons, and it gives a description of this photo, or the picture that he drew when he was jailed, I think. And he ended up being killed by the jail guards or something of that nature. But it's good that they have a little history in the front of these comics like that back then. And next, a bunch of Lone Ranger books that I picked up. These are from the 1940s. The Lone Ranger Rides Again, The Lone Ranger and the Gold Robbery. Now, all of these are missing the paper sleeves, because, as you know, these were children's books, and kids ain't gonna, any kid in any era is not going to take care of the paper sleeves. Pretty much history. But this one does have remnants of the paper sleeve. Lone Ranger and the Outlaw Stronghold, right there. And you can see the Lone Ranger's not wearing his typical light blue suit that you see in the old movies or the new ones. I don't know when that started, if it was just from the movies or what. The Lone Ranger and the Mystery Ranch. The Lone Ranger and Tonto. And lastly, here's one that actually has the paper sleeve. The Lone Ranger at the Haunted Gulch. Now he's wearing his mask and white hat, and he's on his white horse on this one. And I'm going to read a little bit of this Lone Ranger and Tonto. The Lone Ranger and Tonto did not want to complete the last leg of their journey until after dark. That was why they spent the afternoon and early evening in a small, well-concealed camp located among sheltering trees in the valley. With darkness, both were in the saddle, making their way at a slow gait across rolling country towards Snake River, just beyond the distant hills. They rode slowly, saving their strength, and the strength of the two big stallions, the snow-white one called Silver, and the slightly smaller painted horse that Tonto had named Scout. Yet, despite the easy manner of both the Lone Ranger and his faithful Indian companion Tonto, they were alert and watchful. They had to be. There were many people who would have liked nothing more than to put bullets through the hearts of these two men. People who had sworn to kill the Lone Ranger because he had served justice by sending their friends to jail or to the hangman's noose. There you go, Lone Ranger, some of that, and Tonto. Even though these were geared toward kids, I think they're interesting reads. Maybe they weren't all towards kids, but I like them. They're pretty simple to read and interesting, fun stories. And I think that's it. That's it for the video. 17 minutes long. And I feel like I'm forgetting to say something here. Nope. I think that's it. Colin, over and out. And Weirdos Unite.